to your knees. Lift up tall, and we know how to do a lunge now, just really wrapping and pulling in and up through your center. And if your hip flexors are really tight, all you have to do is tuck your tail between your legs, find your deep scoop, put your hand on your lower belly, really pull in as far as you can, keep that, and then press the pelvis forward. And honestly, my hip flexors aren't tight, but I just have to shift forward. It's probably 1 centimeter, and I can already feel that pull down the front of my hip. So let's just stay here for a couple of deep breaths. Trying to lift your rib cage up off your pelvis so you're not compressing that lower back. So just be constantly, as you're breathing and trying to deepen into that stretch, be thinking about what you're trying to achieve. It's all too easy to just sit in that lunge, let everything hang out, think about what's cooking for dinner, or how many kids you've got to feed, or whatever. And then we'll just sit back, because the hammies are probably a little bit tight too. Sit back, try and go for the straight back, stick your tailbone out this time. And again, I've got that hammy stretch already. But if you want to, walk those fingers forward a little bit further. Really try and keep that length and lift through the crown of the head. And then if you need to, close your eyes. I close my eyes a lot in Pilates because it really helps me to focus. See if you can just draw that lower tummy in. And then ask your shoulders to relax. 2 more deep breaths. If you want to, pull the toes back for that little, oh, that feels really nasty, that neural stretch. Right down the back of the leg. And then come out of that. Let's go to the other side. I've got a wall here, so I'm lucky. So find your lifted long spine. Find your deep scoop. Try and always just go in a little bit further than you are right now. And then tuck that tail. If that's enough for you. Or press that pelvis forward. So I find on this side, on my right hip, if I don't support through the glute, it hurts my knee. I've worked it out what it is. So if you get a funny thing in your knee, it might be actually coming from the hip. Maybe. Who knows? So just another breath or 2. And then back for the hammy stretch. Up tall, pull and zip up through your skinny jeans. Walk the hands. And then let those shoulders go. Breathe deeply. If you want to, pull those toes back. I just push my heel into the mat a little bit more. And there's nothing physically happening, but trying to send that tailbone further back, like it really feels like it's such an intense stretch. And then just take it onto your back. You're going to hold your shins with your hands. Relax your legs for me. Your arms are literally going to do all the work. And then you're going to pull the knees as close to your chest as you can and make big circles as wide as you can with the thighs. And then back in again. We're going to do 10 in each direction. Let your lower back just hang. But you're trying to increase that stretch. Where I feel it the most is that big inside thigh stretch right here. So just circling. Breathing whenever you like. So this is the stretch before the strength part, where we will still be doing that circular motion in the hips. So try not to skip out like any corners of that circle. Let's go the other way. Let the lower back relax. You have to consciously let it relax. 2. Let's keep going. Maybe not 10 because we'll be here forever. If you wanted to do this at home, you could do 10. Let's just do 2 more. onto hands and knees. We'll start here. Actually, before we even go there, sit back onto your heels, reach the fingers forward, and we're going to breathe in this rested position here. So your forehead can rest on the mat. I want you to reach your fingers as close to the edge of your mat as you can. But then I want you to try and literally pull your coccyx between your legs, so you should feel your lower abdominals start to activate. Kind of push my shins down into the floor to try and lift my floating ribs at the front of my body. So these ones here that are kind of hang down, you want to feel like you're trying to lift those up just a little bit, so there's a gap between your thigh and your ribs. And then I want you to breathe nice and deeply a couple of times and see how much expansion you can get all the way through that back area. Open the lungs and then breathe out. And then you can start doing your pelvic floor even in this position. It's actually a really good position to practice your pelvic flooring. So we're going to do another 3 breaths. Breathe in, feel your diamond open. You haven't splattered your stomach though. And then as you breathe out, close the diamond, lift the pelvic floor up like you're sucking up through a straw. Lift the lower abs, and this is hard work through the stomach. Hopefully you can feel that heat already. 2 more of those. Breathe in, don't splat. Open the ribs, breathe out. Pelvic floor, collect, scoop it up. Lift the floating ribs, lift them up, 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 up. Lucky last. Squeeze the last little bit of air out, go deeper. Then keep that connection. Tuck the tail even further between your legs. Your pelvis starts to lift. As you bring your legs back to parallel, don't release through the front of the belly. Bring the hands underneath the wrists and then use the pressure through the hands to lengthen the spine and find your neutral. So let the tail untuck. Find a soft curve through your back. Whichever leg you're going to work with first. I'm going to work with my left because it's closest to the camera, so you guys can see what I'm doing. But you've stabilized your shoulders. You've picked your abdominals and your pelvic floor up. Lift one leg and try not to, as you take the knee off the mat, try not to shift your booty to the side at all. So push down with one hand and opposite knee, and then let that thigh just float and just hover off the mat. Take your breath in, breathe out, collect your stomach, and then press the thigh up. And I want you to think more about the lengthening of the hip flexor. The stretch, that attachment at the top of the thigh, make it get longer and longer and longer and longer, but the back doesn't change. And then control it back down. We're going to do just 6. And again, exhale. So the thigh might get a little bit higher, but it's more about the lengthening through the front. Bring it back down with as much control as you can. Breathe out. Watch the head doesn't sag between your shoulders, guys. Push the floor away a little bit more. You can feel that deep connection through your abs as your leg is at the highest point. Press nice and slow so you can hold that stretch at the top. And I'm saying stretch, but my butt is really burning. But your quad and hip flexor is actively stretching without you really noticing it. 2 more. Bring it back down. Last one. Keep that energy through your arms. Place it back down. Be careful your belly button doesn't move. Don't move the hips, swinging to side, swap your legs. So you have to push down with that opposite hand. Let's go to the other side. Breathe out. See if you notice if one side feels like it just moves a little bit easier. Especially when you get to the top. 2. So we're breathing out as the leg lifts. 3. And 4. And I can actually go a little bit further than I think. Probably just trying to hold on a little bit too much. And 5. 1 more, 6. That knee comes back down, no shifting. We're going to go dog having a pee. So that right leg goes straight out to the side. Now watch your left butt cheek's going to want to boom off to the side. Don't let it. Stay in the middle. How high can you lift the thigh? Up. Back down, but don't weight bear on the knee. 2, we're just doing 6. And 3. So again, I've got that little shaky feeling as I get to the top of the movement, that challenge point. Open it up. That was 4, I think. 5. Work those arms. 1 more. 6. So the hip bones aren't moving. Watch the transition. That's probably the hardest out of everything. Other side, open the thigh. 1. Oh, those hips are clicky. And 2. Lots of grinding in there. And 3. 4, deeply breathing. Really hard to do your pelvic floor in this position, but do your best. 5, 1 more. 6, and then we're going to come back to the first side just to do some circles. So stay there. Don't flex at the hip. Don't flex the spine. That's what I meant to say. So if you can see there, I'm going to bring the knee towards my chest, but I'm not rounding my lower back. Then circle and lift that thigh as high as you can. Then the knee starts to internally rotate as you try and press into that hip extension. Find that glute max, lift the thigh, but support well through the stomach. Back to the front. So there's a lot going on there. Deep hip flexion as you pull the knee forward. Up and open to the side. Keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting. Challenge that back corner. That's really tough. Bring it back. We'll just do 3 each way. 1 more. If I put a cup of coffee on your lower backs, don't spill a drop. Let's reverse it. Press it back. Find the hip extension first. Whoa, stop. Go a little bit higher. I'm talking to myself mainly right now. That's it. Because I was doing that wrong. Oh, I forgot to mute you guys. Oops, sorry. Take it out to the side. Forward and back. 2 to go. Press it back, open the hips, long, 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 long. Lift the thigh up. Bring it forward, last one. Press, lift, forward, return. So it's not many reps, but I can feel a bit of work going on there. Return to the other side, let's go forward first. So know what it feels like to fold in the hip, but not move your pelvis. Up and around, don't move that lower back. 2. Kind of skip through that one. Really concentrate hard on each corner. Where do you feel like it's really tough? That's where you need to work deeper. Press back, lift, keep the chest open, keep the energy through the arms. 2 more. Last one. All the way around, and I'm going to sit back on my heels again just to stretch that out. A little counter stretch, find the lower back. Hopefully now you know what to do to deepen by that beautiful support through the front of the body. 1 deep breath. And then from there, restack, but come from the tail. So really pull the tail between the legs. Take your time, feel the lower back be pulling. And the kind of the wrapping through the glutes until your head comes up. Then sit on your bottom and have a little lay down. We're going to go straight into 2 straight legs. Find your neutral. If you find that your back is really tight, and you can't maintain neutral, and you feel like with straight legs you're in a little bit of an extra arch, bend these knees just a tad. You might have to do that, Karen, depends how your hips are feeling today. So I'll just have my knees a little bit bent, but otherwise you're there with flexed feet. You want to pull the toes right back to your face and keep your heels into the floor. Take your hands behind your head. If your knees are bent, take a moment. I'm squeezing my legs together, by the way. So take a moment to see if you can release through those hip flexors. Let's just stay here with our hands behind our head and go 3 deep breaths. As you're breathing in, you should be able to feel the opening sensation through the back of the body. And as you breathe out, ask the tummy to scoop, pulling the stomach in and up, and then lifting the pelvic floor. So I'm going to give you 3 more breaths to practice just that. I want to see how deeply you could go in. With that little forced exhale, you should be able to hear your breath. 2 more breaths, don't rush. I've got a little quiver in my inside thighs right now, I don't know why, just pressing the inside thighs together. Now on the next one, we're just going to fold into your chest lift. Take your breath in. Breathe out. Half the air is gone. The pelvic floor is already starting to lift. As you lift your head, watch your pelvic floor doesn't bear down. Keep feeling like it's lifting up, and we'll be really working on that flexion. Folding, 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 folding. Where is your challenge point? Release the hip flexors, release the quads. Control your center as you place your spine back down. So I'm going to keep going with straight legs, but you know what to do with bent knees if you need to be there. Breathe in. Breathe out. And as you're coming up, you should be aware of the lower back vertebrae moving in towards the mat. You won't push it in. It won't flatten. But because your tummy is pulling in deeper, it's actually opening and lengthening your lower back. Think of it that way. Exhale again. Here we go. We can go a tiny little bit quicker, but I don't want to go too fast today. Folding, 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 folding. I'm shaking everywhere. And control back down. 3 to go. Each time you come up, you've got to go in further. Those legs are pushing into each other, but those quads are soft. 2 more. And last one, and you're not pulling on your neck, just a reminder. Lucky last, let's stay up on this last one. Hold. Let's reach the hands forward 1 at a time, interlace our fingers. Imagine that someone has actually grabbed our hands and they're going to pull us a little bit higher. Right here, if your lower back is gripping on, bend those knees. I just felt mine, so I'm just going to adjust my position. We're breathing out, reach the hands to the side, don't move the thighs. Feel like your 2 hands are going to go towards the outside of your right knee. Stay up as you come back to the middle, other side. Breathe out, don't move the legs. The legs really want to go first. Check in that rotation, your pelvic floor is up. Then let the pelvic floor open as you come back. 2 more each way. Breathe out. Squeeze the legs to stabilize the pelvis. And then come a little higher. Back to the middle, other side. We'll go a tiny little bit quicker. 1 more each way. Bring it back. Last one to the left. Stay up. Bring the hands behind the head 1 at a time. Do your best to fight and not to drop down. Now control yourself down. We're going to go into the hundreds. Reach your arms all the way back for a little bit of a stretch. You can pull your arms. I don't care if your back arches just for a second. Move your pelvis around if you want to. And then just regroup everything. Pull the shoulders down. Reach the arms to the sky. Breathe out and fold. I want the hands to be directly over the tops of the thighs, about 6 inches off the thighs. We're pausing here. Let's start pumping the arms. Wrap the bottom. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. We're going to keep the feet on the floor today. So those legs are definitely active, but what is your pelvic floor doing? Can you have the control? As you inhale, can you open the diamond? As you exhale, can you close the diamond? 2 more sets only. Last set. Pause. Pause, pause. Control the arms, reach them all the way back. Flip straight over onto elbows, I should say. Elbows onto shoulders. Tuck the toes under, lift the pelvis up. So find your coffee table position, and we talked about this last week about working on the length of the spine. Keep the knees down for a moment. Support through the back of the leg, so the hip flexor again is not gripping. And then zip up from your pubic bone to right under your floating ribs, your breastbone. Pull in and up. You can stay there, or you can extend your right leg. Don't change your deep connection. You could even just work on this version. Place the knee down. Let's do this a few times. So we go exhale, going deeper, and then extend one knee. Find the glute on both sides. Place the knee down. This time we're going to go right knee, left knee. Don't change the spine. Right knee down, left knee down. Start with the left. Exhale, left knee. Inhale, hold. Exhale, pick everything up. Extend both of your legs. Stretch the crown of the head forward. One knee goes down. Other knee goes down. Good. Let's stop here. Hold. Can you check that your tailbone is where it's meant to be and not sticking up to the ceiling? We've got 3 more breaths. Stay here or go 2 straight legs, whatever you like. 2 more breaths. Last breath. Come out of it with control, back onto the hip. The heels again for that deep stretch. Into that round lower back. Move your 2 hands to one side and try and stretch down the left side of your lower back and your left armpit, your left lats particularly. Walk the hands, let's stretch the other side. Notice if one's tighter than the other. Bring the hands back to the middle, roll it up. Let's go onto your side. Prop yourself up on your elbow, and we're just going to do a stretch. So grab, if you can, I've got my hand in front of my thigh, and then you're going to try to pull that leg behind your ear. So you're going to stay there, use your arm to do the work. A couple of deep breaths. One more breath. Pull it a little further. Awesome. Yep, you can release it. That's okay. So bring it back down. I've got my toes tucked under. I'm in my Pilates V. So my thighs are spiraling outward. Lift the underneath waist as much as you can when you're propped up on your elbow. Again, working the hip through the full range of movement. So I'm going to start to développé. Drag your toe up, right up the inside of your thigh as high as you can. Lift the thigh behind your shoulder, imagine, and then extend the whole of the lower leg. So pull it up, those legs look baggy, pull them right up, more, I know it's tough. And then all the way down, I want you to squeeze the inside thighs together at the bottom. We're just gonna do 3. Nice and slowly, turn the knee out, there's your hip strength. Push that knee back, lift the thigh, unfold it. You will feel your hip flexor here because we are working out. Press it down, just one more. Bend, work the external rotation on the underneath side for me. You should feel those deep hip stabilizers still there. You might have forgotten about them a little bit. Press it down. We're going to do 3 kicks with pace. Up, kick 1 behind your ear. 2, 1 more. 3, beautiful. Roll straight onto the belly. Little transition. Forehead on the hands. Legs are together, but again, turning out. Push your pubic bone into the floor, lengthen through your quads, find the glute. Pick up the 2 thighs just off the floor, don't let it go into the lower back too much. Just a millimeter, we're going to open and beat the heels together 10 times. Nice and fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Squeeze together, lower down, roll onto your other side. I'm going to flip over so you're not looking at my butt. Or you could just roll straight over. Okay, here we go, up on the elbow, let's go for the stretch. Grab, Pull. And breathe. So this is my tighter side, definitely. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if that knee isn't straight, because even if it's bent, you're still really kind of getting into those deep hip muscles. One more breath. Release, take it down. Find the connection of the heels. Can you push the heels into each other for a second? Yeah, my legs shake when I do that. So literally hold on to your $100 note between you two heels. Check the underneath hip is doing some work. Breathe in. Développé, lift that thigh. Breathe out, send it long as it goes down. Breathing in. And breathing out. There's such a difference in my two sides. One more here. Inhale. Exhale. Ready to kick it up, use momentum. Let's go. 1. Nice. Deep stretch. 2. 3. Transition back onto the belly again. Forehead on the hands. This time float the upper body as well. Come into your tiny hover. So small, guys, because I want you to go for some length. So just stay there for a moment. Try and turn those legs out. Lift the stomach up off the floor. 10 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rest. Up onto the elbow for a single leg kick. Now this is one of these exercises that when you first learn, you're like, what the hell is this? But as you practice it more, it really does make sense. So push the floor away for me. And then what I want you to be looking at is my pelvis lower back. It actually takes quite a lot of core strength to be able to maintain the start position. So I want you to push your pubic bone really hard into the mat. And then I want you to lift the stomach, the lower abs particularly, right up off the floor. And you'll see straight away, like this is an exercise in its own, but you'll see straight away it takes that dumping out of the lower back. So I want you to stay there. I want you to lengthen the legs, like in your head. They're getting longer, not so much physically. Then you're going to keep the pubic bone into the floor, bend the right knee, work on the abs. As you pull the right heel to the bottom, go really slow, dig your pubic bone more into the floor, push it down, and then lower that leg. That's a massive hammy workout. Other side, lift up out of the waist, dig the pubic bone down, pull the heel to the bottom, release. Now you can add on if you wanted to. As you start to bend the knee, you could try to lift the right thigh off the floor a little bit and lower it back down. So I'm thinking about it, but physically there's not a whole lot going on. Push the floor away, lift up, and left leg. Try, oh my leg's shaking. Try to lift the left thigh, pull the abdominals more though, so stretch through the quad. Lengthen, one more each way only. Push down, scoop, more scoop, more scoop. When you get to that challenge point, really dig deep. And last one. Exhale, arms, pubic bone, lower stomach lifted up, 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 up. And sit back on the heels again. Hopefully no one felt that in their lower back. Breathe. We're going to go into hands and knees. Wrists under shoulders. Quick plank. Full plank. So same as we did in the warm-up. Find your length. Find your wrap through the front of the body. One leg goes back, other leg goes back. Don't stay here for too long. We're going to send the hips to the sky into your pike. A moment here only to push the heels into your floor. As you start to come forward, feel the connection through the front of the body. So the pelvis, as it starts to load up, you pull in deeper and then you find the diagonal. Watch you don't stop short here. A pause for the moment. Back into the pike. You can feel the load come out of the abs pretty much straight away as you send the hips back. But don't lose your control. So we're going to come between those two positions a few times. Open the chest and send it back. Don't lose the glutes straight away. Next one, we're going to come past neutral. Just a little bit though. Don't go too wild. So here's our diagonal. Lower the hips a little bit so you're going into a hip flexor stretch. Only as much as you've got the control through the stomach to lift the chest. If you feel like you're letting go and the lower back's just compressing, don't go so far, pike it back up. So take your time as you move between that position. You can just stop in the diagonal, the plank if you need to. Here we go. Let the pelvis lower a little bit. Glutes are still working like mad. Lift the chest. Back to neutral. Pull the stomach up. Pike it back up. We're doing one more. Last one. Drop the pelvis. Lift. And then just lower yourself to the floor. Well done. Sit back on the heels. Come onto your bottom for a little hip stretch. That wasn't too torture, was it? Into a little butterfly. Push the backs of those knees right down. Lean forward. You know what to do here. Breathe deeply. So I'm leaning forward to try and get that extra deep hip stretch. And then take both legs wide. Lift your pelvis forward and try and shift forward. Aiming for that to go as wide as you can, but just do your best. I know this is a horrible one. And then same thing. Just coming, kind of rolling the pelvis forwards. If that stretch isn't deep enough for you. And then I'm going to just try and relax my body as far forward as I can. You can come with me or you can stay as you are. Just want to make sure the knees don't collapse in. It's not good for the hips. The hands back really carefully. Give yourself a big hug. Stretch the backs, lower backs round. Tight, tight, tight. We better do a glute stretch. Cross one ankle over one knee. Try and get that opposite sit bone right down into the mat. This is where I feel really tight. So get into that hip stretch and then just add a little rotation. Oh, that feels so good. Come back nice and slowly. Let's swap to the other side. I don't know about you, but I find it, because I do HIIT 3 times a week, but I find that the stretches at the end, like the cool down, is just so short. And it definitely doesn't stretch all the muscle groups that I need. So I feel like I just need that extra time stretching. Come back. Beautiful. Come to your crouch. So you can go parallel or you can go V, whichever one you prefer. Coming to that hanging position. Let's just roll straight up. Soften the quads. Have that awareness of that deep. Just a little bit of support, not like crazy support now because we've finished the workout. Lift your heels off the floor. Just about 2 inches. And then you're going to try closing your eyes. Staying for a few breaths. So you can, hopefully you can feel the back of the legs supporting you. And then just lower the heels down, but try to feel like you keep that height, so you haven't lost that height of when your heels were off the floor. 2 nice deep breaths, pushing the floor away. lifting the ribs up off the pelvis. Nice, beautiful, long torso, long, soft quads. Done. Well done, guys. Good job.